The city's breath, a tired murmur, had just begun to settle around you, Reid. The hour was late, the lamplight spilling weak amber onto the rain-slicked pane of your window, mirroring the quiet solitude of your apartment. A half-finished mug of cold tea sat sentinel on the coaster, its forgotten warmth a testament to the day's fading efforts. Then, the piercing, insistent shriek of your phone shattered the fragile peace. It was a metallic bird of ill omen, its cry tearing through the stillness, demanding attention, demanding action. You exhaled slowly, the sound a ghost of a sigh, a familiar prelude to the night's unwelcome demands. Your fingers, calloused with years of gripping cold steel and sifting through human wreckage, closed around the device. The voice on the other end was clipped, urgent, a hurried string of words that tightened the knot in your gut. Alistair Finch. Murder. A private bank vault below a historic building. The details, sparse as they were, painted a picture of high stakes and immediate complications. Neon signs bled into the perpetual twilight, reflecting off the wet streets like shattered jewels. Your mind, weary from countless past investigations, felt the familiar stir of an old fire rekindling. Each street lamp that flashed past was a beat in the accelerating rhythm of your thoughts, already sifting through the limited information, already bracing for the ugliness that awaited. The city, you knew, kept its most guarded secrets in its deepest pockets, and Finch, the tech titan, the philanthropic darling with a reputation for cutting throats in the boardroom, undoubtedly had pockets deeper than most. The historic building loomed, a granite sentinel against the bruised sky, its classical facade a stark contrast to the flashing blue and red strobes that now pulsed against its ancient stone. Uniformed officers huddled beneath a temporary canopy, their breath pluming in the crisp night air. A marked perimeter tape, a thin yellow line of authority, stretched around the entrance, keeping the curious at bay. You moved through the hushed tableau, a silent ripple in the controlled chaos, your eyes scanning, absorbing the scene even before stepping inside. The air here was already thick with the unspoken gravity of a life brutally extinguished. A uniformed sergeant, his face a mask of grim professionalism, met you just inside the grand foyer. Reid Kincaid, he acknowledged, a nod barely perceptible. It's a mess, sir. Downstairs. We've secured the access, but the scene itself. He trailed off, a subtle shiver running through his frame despite the warmth of the building. His hesitation spoke volumes. A service elevator, surprisingly modern within the old structure, whisked you downwards, the quiet hum of its machinery a stark counterpoint to the growing tension. Each floor you passed felt like a layer peeled back from the city's polished exterior, revealing something older, more fundamental. The air grew cooler, heavier, carrying the faint metallic tang of aged concrete and something else. Something you couldn't quite place, but your instincts recognized as the scent of disruption. The elevator doors parted with a soft sigh, revealing a narrow, well-lit corridor, pristine and almost sterile. Here, the hum of fluorescent lights replaced the grand, muted glow of the upper floors. This was the threshold. Inside, the vault was a tableau of stark, horrifying elegance. The air, unnaturally still, held the faint, acrid scent of fear and something far more primal. The walls, thick and unyielding, were lined with rows of polished safe deposit boxes, each a silent repository of untold wealth and secrets. But your eyes were drawn immediately to the center where Alistair Finch lay. His bespoke suit, a charcoal gray of exquisite tailoring, was stained crimson, a grotesque blossoming across the chest. His silver hair, usually meticulously styled, was disheveled, a few strands clinging to his pale forehead. His eyes, wide and unseeing, stared up at the reinforced ceiling, reflecting the stark overhead lights like twin shattered mirrors. There was no struggle evident, no overturned furniture, no signs of a forced entry to the vault itself. The secure door, you noted, stood ajar, not forced open, but simply unlocked. A forensic specialist crouched near the body, looked up as you entered, his face grim beneath the brim of his cap. "Reid," he murmured, his voice low. "It's Alistair Finch, all right. Single gunshot wound to the chest. Small caliber, probably. And nothing seems to be missing." You moved closer, your gaze sweeping across the scene, taking in every detail. The opulent watch still gleamed on Finch's wrist. A thick, leather-bound briefcase, latched shut, lay undisturbed beside his outstretched hand. Piles of neatly stacked financial documents, secured by heavy paperweights, sat on a nearby table, untouched. Nothing was ransacked. Nothing appeared disturbed. The forensic specialist shook his head. Clean. Someone either had a key or they were let in. The implication hung heavy in the air, a silent accusation. Someone he knew. Someone he trusted enough to let into his inner sanctum, his financial fortress. Alistair Finch, the man who guarded his empire with an iron fist, had been vulnerable, exposed, in the very heart of his security. You knelt, your eyes tracing the intricate patterns of the vault floor, then returning to Finch's vacant stare. The wound was precise, almost surgical in its placement. This wasn't a panicked attack. This was an execution. And the lack of anything stolen, the eerie tidiness of the scene, twisted the initial premise of a simple robbery into something far more insidious. The game you knew had just begun, had. You knelt, the chill of the polished concrete seeping through the fabric of your trousers, a stark counterpoint to the heat rising from the scene. Alistair Finch, once a titan of industry, now a tableau of ruin. His eyes, fixed on some unseen point above, held a final bewildered question. A single dark crimson bloom had unfurled across the pristine white of his tailored shirt, staining the stark wealth that surrounded him. Your gaze traced the arc of his arm, splayed unnaturally, ending near an overturned briefcase. Papers, crisp and important, lay scattered like fallen leaves from a poison tree. Not just money, you thought, but secrets. This wasn't merely about what was taken, but what was left behind, what was broken. The uniformed officer who found him is waiting. You rose, a weariness settling into your bones that had nothing to do with the physical act. Every instinct screamed that this was not the clumsy work of a common thief. The meticulous chaos of the scene felt deliberate, a message carved in flesh and blood. You moved with a practiced fluidity, stepping around the perimeter marked by yellow tape, your eyes absorbing every detail before the scene was irrevocably altered by the systematic intrusion of evidence collection. The vault itself, a monolithic testament to security, seemed to mock the victim. Its massive steel door, still slightly ajar, appeared unmarred, no obvious signs of forced entry. The uniformed officer, young and visibly shaken, stood by the entrance, his face pale beneath the harsh overhead lights. "Detective Kincaid," he managed, his voice a tight rasp. I was conducting a routine perimeter check after the alarm tripped. Standard procedure. When I entered the main lobby, I heard a faint sound from below. Thought it was just a system malfunction. He was found the access panel to the vault open. Came down, saw this. He gestured vaguely towards Finch's body. "The alarm tripped?" You asked, your voice calm, belying the rapid calculations in your mind. "At what time?" 03:17, sir. I was on site within 5 minutes. The main vault door, it was already slightly open, just like you see it now. No forced entry, no signs of tampering with the outer lock mechanism. Just open. And the inner security? You gestured towards the biometric scanner set into the wall beside the vault's entrance. A sophisticated piece of tech Finch himself had likely overseen. The officer swallowed hard. It was disarmed, sir. Green light. No error codes. Someone knew the override, or had the access. Someone he knew, you murmured, the words echoing the silent accusation from the previous night. The officer merely nodded, unable to offer further insight. His account, while honest, painted a picture of a clean, efficient entry, not a desperate smash and grab. Next, you sought out the bank's security chief, a man named Mr. He was a portly figure, his crisp suit now rumpled, his eyes darting like trapped birds. He wrung his hands, a nervous tick. Mr. Utmost Security. Multi-layered. Biometric access. Retinal scan for the inner chamber. Keycard for the outer door. Time-locked mechanisms. Alistair Finch. He was meticulous about it. Only a handful of us had full access, and even then, only with a secondary confirmation code unique to each entry. And the alarm? The silent alarm, yes, it triggered. But the system logs show no forced entry. The outer keycard was used. The biometric scanner for the inner vault registered a valid print. It appears so, Detective. The system doesn't lie. His print, his keycard. The time logs are precise. He entered at 03:15. The alarm tripped 2 minutes later. The outer door was then left ajar. This was the first true inconsistency, a stark contradiction to the robbery gone wrong narrative. A thief would smash, grab, and flee. A killer granted access would operate differently. The implication was stark. Finch had let his killer in. Or someone had impersonated Finch. As the forensic team began their methodical work, you returned to the body, kneeling once more, your eyes now seeing past the immediate horror to the subtle narratives. The scattered papers from the briefcase, mostly financial statements, quarterly reports. Nothing obviously missing from the piles. Yet, something felt wrong. Most robbery victims would be rifled through, their pockets emptied. Finch's expensive watch was still on his wrist, a glint of gold amidst the gloom. His diamond pinky ring remained. His wallet, slightly askew in his inner jacket pocket, appeared untouched. Your gaze fell upon his left hand, splayed out on the concrete. Just beneath his open palm, partially obscured by the edge of a stray financial report, lay a small, polished wooden figurine. It was a miniature chess piece, a knight carved with intricate detail. It wasn't something you'd expect to find in a high-stakes financial vault, nor did it seem like a personal item Finch would carry. Its presence here, amidst the chaos and the blood, was a deliberate anomaly, a silent clue. You signaled for a colleague, the senior forensic technician, to approach. "Look at this," you said, pointing with a gloved hand. "The knight. And tell me if anything else seems out of place considering a robbery." The technician, a woman with sharp, observant eyes, knelt, her brow furrowing. "A chess piece? Unusual. And you're right, Reid. No obvious signs of a thorough search. The valuables are still on him. Most smash and grabs, they go for the bling first. And the state of these papers. They're scattered, yes, but not torn, not rummaged through haphazardly. It's almost as if they were carefully arranged to look like a struggle, but weren't actually searched." "Precisely," you affirmed. "It's a performance. The scattered papers, the overturned briefcase, a carefully constructed illusion of a robbery. But the undisturbed valuables, the disarmed security, the chess piece, this isn't about what they took. It's about what they wanted us to believe was taken. The killer hadn't just taken a life. They had crafted a narrative, a false trail. And the little wooden knight, a silent sentinel, was the first thread unraveling that carefully woven lie. You felt the weight of it, the intricate game just beginning, and you, Reid Kincaid, were now a reluctant player. Alistair Finch lay sprawled, a crumpled titan amidst the gleaming steel, his final tableau a mockery of the power he once wielded. Your gaze drifted back to the small wooden knight, a solitary sentinel on the cold floor, its carved features holding a silent judgment. It was a misplaced detail, a deliberate whisper in a room designed for secrets, and it pulsed with an unsettling significance. The entry points are secure, Reid. The chief investigator's voice cut through the vault's oppressive quiet, a low rumble from the doorway. No forced entry. Its contents, a series of rare, antique coins scattered like fallen stars. And the robbery, you asked? Your voice a low rasp against the vault's acoustics. A performance. The chief investigator confirmed, stepping closer, his heavy shoes echoing. The high-value items, the ones a professional would target first, are untouched. The lesser pieces are strewn about. And the safe deposit boxes? Not even a scratch on the locks. This wasn't about the gold, or the deeds, or whatever secrets he kept locked away here. He gestured vaguely at the rows of impenetrable steel. It was about him. Your eyes scanned the meticulous disarray, the careful chaos that bespoke an artist of deceit. The killer hadn't merely taken a life. They had orchestrated a scene, a crude play with Finch as its tragic lead. The wooden knight, small and unassuming, seemed to mock the grand scale of the staging. It spoke of an intimacy the robbery scenario denied, a personal touch that transcended the cold logic of greed. "Get me everything on Finch," you instructed, rising slowly, your joints protesting the cold. Every public record, every board meeting, every charity gala. And then dig deeper. I want to know the man behind the myth, the cracks in the gilded facade. Hours later, the vault remained your command center, a crucible of information. An analyst, hunched over a tablet, fed you a constant stream of data, a digital torrent attempting to reconstruct a life. Finch's public image, a mosaic of glowing headlines and carefully curated press releases, painted the portrait of a visionary. He was the city's golden boy, the tech magnate who gave back, whose name adorned concert halls and research grants. He built his empire fast, the analyst murmured, scrolling through a corporate structure diagram that resembled a tangled web. Aggressive acquisitions, rapid expansion. He wasn't afraid to step on toes. You nodded, a familiar cynicism stirring within you. Names, or rather roles, began to emerge from the digital haze. Here, the analyst pointed. A former business partner, forced out of their own company, a hostile takeover orchestrated by Finch. Lawsuit settled out of court, a substantial payout, but the partner's career never recovered. They've since vanished from the tech scene. The details were sparse, but the bitterness was palpable, even across years and legal documents. And another, the analyst continued, tapping the screen. A rival CEO. Finch undercut a major deal, essentially stole a lucrative government contract right from under them. The rival's company took a hit, never fully recovered its market share. Publicly, they maintained a facade of sportsmanship, but privately, the report suggests simmering resentment, a deep-seated desire for retribution. You absorbed the information, the pieces of a different Finch slotting into place. The philanthropic veneer was thick, but beneath it, the sharp edges of a predator began to gleam. This was a man who made powerful enemies, not just casual competitors. Then a subtle anomaly surfaced. The analyst paused, a frown creasing their brow. And this, it's peculiar. Not through any of Finch's known philanthropic channels and not bearing his name. Finch was known for grand gestures, for naming wings after himself. This quiet, anonymous patronage felt utterly out of character for his public persona. It hinted at a secret passion, or perhaps a secret connection. A personal thread, carefully hidden from the public eye, woven into the fabric of a life defined by its visibility. The gleaming surfaces reflected not just the harsh glare of the forensic lights, but the stark contrast between Alistair Finch, the celebrated icon, and Alistair Finch, the ruthless architect of ruin. The wooden knight, still on the floor, suddenly seemed less like a random prop and more like a key, a silent testament to a life split down the middle, a hidden truth awaiting its unveiling. The killer hadn't just sought to end his life. They had sought to expose it, to shatter the carefully constructed image, piece by painful piece. The echo of obscure arts foundations still hummed in your thoughts, a dissonant note against the public symphony of Alistair Finch's life. You carried it, a quiet burden, into the sterile glow of the interrogation rooms, a determination hardening your gaze. Finch had built an empire on transparency, yet beneath the gleaming surface, shadows coiled. You felt them now, a cool current against your skin, even before the first suspect arrived. The ambitious COO, sharp-suited and sharper-eyed, was first. He sat across from you, posture rigid, a practiced composure barely veiling a tremor of impatience. "Reid Kincaid," he began, his voice a polished drone. "I've already provided my statement to your colleague. I was at the annual corporate retreat upstate, a mandatory leadership seminar. My alibi is impeccable, corroborated by dozens." He presented a digital itinerary, timestamps precise, a cascade of emails and video conference logs. You watched him, not just his words, but the way his left thumb worried the edge of his watch, a subtle, almost imperceptible rhythm. His alibi was a fortress, built brick by digital brick. Yet you observed the faint, almost imperceptible sheen of perspiration on his brow, the way his eyes darted to the door. Not away from you. He spoke of growth projections and market shares, of Finch's recent aggressive expansion into emerging tech, but never of the man himself, only the mechanism. Did Finch have any private ventures beyond the corporate portfolio? You asked, letting the question hang, unmoored from the official line. The COO's gaze flickered, a momentary blankness before the mask resettled. Nothing I was privy to. His personal interests were his own. The dismissal was too swift, too absolute. Next came the rival CEO, a woman whose reputation preceded her like a thunderhead. She entered with an entourage of lawyers, her presence filling the room with an almost physical force. Her tailored suit was a statement, her expression a challenge. "This is a waste of my time, detective," she announced, her voice a low, gravelly alto. "Alistair Finch and I had our differences, yes. Business is war. But I am not a murderer." Her alibi was equally robust. A transatlantic flight, confirmed manifests, satellite phone records placing her over the Atlantic during the estimated time of death. This. You noticed the subtle tremor in her hand as she reached for a glass of water, the way her eyes, though direct, held a deep, simmering resentment. You pressed her on the obscure arts foundation, mentioning it as a hypothetical investment. She scoffed. Finch? Art? He valued only what could be quantified, monetized. He wouldn't know a masterpiece from a child's crayon drawing unless it had a six-figure appraisal attached. Her dismissal, like the COO's, felt too rehearsed, too absolute. Her clothes were simple, her hair unbound, and her eyes held a weariness that spoke of a long, quiet grief. There were no lawyers, no practiced smiles. She sat quietly, her hands clasped in her lap. "Alistair and I? We weren't close," she admitted, her voice soft, almost a whisper. "Not for years." Her alibi was less glamorous, more human. A solitary evening spent at home, preparing for a distant relative's birthday, corroborated only by a delivery driver's log for a cake and a brief, unreturned call to a friend. It lacked the digital precision of the others, making it paradoxically feel more authentic. Yet you felt a deeper current beneath her calm. "He was a difficult man," she continued, her gaze fixed on a point beyond your shoulder. "Brilliant, yes, but he valued power more than people. He drove everyone away." You brought up the Arts Foundation, watching her carefully. A flicker of recognition, then a tightening around her eyes. "The foundation," she murmured, a sad smile touching her lips. "That was for our mother. She loved art." "Alistair?" He kept it up quietly. A strange loyalty for him. She paused, then added, almost as an afterthought. "He had a small collection, kept separate from everything else. Not at the main bank." He was always so paranoid about his private things. He used to say it was the only place he felt truly secure, that no one would ever connect it to his public persona. He called it the sanctuary. There were some of Mother's pieces there and other things. Things he wouldn't trust to anyone. The words hung in the air, a sudden sharp clarity cutting through the haze of polished alibis. Not a corporate asset, not a public declaration. Something deeply personal, a secret repository. This wasn't just a place, it was a symbol, a key. The estranged sister's gaze met yours, a silent plea in their depths. He was always so careful, she reiterated, her voice barely audible. Especially with that. You felt the shift in the investigation, a new vector emerging from the carefully constructed lies and half-truths. The COO and the rival CEO had offered unshakable alibis, yet their dismissals of Finch's private life felt too convenient, too eager. The estranged sister, with her fragile alibi, had instead offered a tangible thread, a glimpse into the hidden chambers of Finch's existence. Everyone had a reason to distance themselves from Finch's secrets, but he had inadvertently led you to one of them. The tension in the room, which had been a low hum, now vibrated with a sudden, potent energy. The murder, you realized, was not about the public persona. It was about what Finch kept hidden, deep beneath the surface, in the quiet, secure heart of the city. And in that vault, you knew, lay a truth far more intricate than any corporate ledger could reveal. The estranged sister's fragile alibi, a whisper of a lie against the thunder of the COOs and the rival CEO's polished truths, still clung to the edges of your mind. You had felt the shift then, a new vector emerging, not from the overt statements, but from the silences, the things unsaid, the way their eyes had flickered when Finch's private life was mentioned. The investigation, a tangled skein of corporate ambition and personal spite, had begun to pull tighter. Then the anonymous tip arrived, a clipped voice on a burner phone, mentioning a name. Marcus Thorne, a former analyst, brilliant but volatile, summarily dismissed by Finch 6 months prior. The caller spoke of public threats, of Thorne's life unraveling, his reputation scorched to ash by Finch's vindictive hand. The motive, stark and clear, painted a compelling picture of revenge. You pursued it, the scent of a fresh lead, a potent stimulant. The precinct's database churned, spitting out Thorne's profile. A meteoric rise, a spectacular fall. His social media, once a vibrant stream of tech insights, had devolved into bitter tirades against Finch, thinly veiled threats of retribution. His last known address led you to a derelict apartment building, its brick facade crumbling like forgotten promises. The air inside hung heavy with the scent of stale coffee and desperation. You found Thorne in a cramped, cluttered space, surrounded by stacks of old newspapers and half-eaten takeout containers. His eyes, sunken and bloodshot, held a desperate fire. He didn't flinch. I expected you sooner. Or later. Never thought Finch would last this long, honestly. His voice was a rasp, laced with a venom that felt earned. We know about your history with Finch, you stated, watching his every twitch, every subtle shift in posture. The termination. The public threats. A bitter laugh escaped him. Threats? They were prophecies. Finch deserved everything he got. He destroyed lives, Kincaid. Mine was just one of them. He slammed a fist onto a stack of papers, sending dust motes dancing in the weak afternoon light. But I didn't kill him. You pressed him for an alibi. He offered a vague account of being alone, lost in a haze of self-pity and cheap whiskey. It was flimsy, easily dismissed, especially with the weight of his public animosity. The pieces for a moment seemed to click into place. A wronged man, pushed to the brink, striking back. It felt almost too simple. Finch's company records, meticulously kept even for his fired employees, showed Thorne had limited access to some of Finch's lesser-known financial dealings during his tenure, a relic of his past responsibilities. The thought struck you. Perhaps Finch had kept something of Thorne's, or Thorne had hidden something incriminating there. A uniformed guard, stoic and unyielding, led you through a maze of corridors, past towering security gates, until you stood before a wall of identical polished boxes. Your gaze swept over the precise rows, the numbered brass plates. The guard, a silent sentinel, produced a heavy key. Inside, among a few mundane legal documents and a stack of old stock certificates, was a small lacquered wooden box. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, lay 2 items. A meticulously crafted replica of Finch's unique office key, the one that accessed his private study, a room not even the COO had regular access to, and a folded piece of parchment. Your breath hitched. This was it, the proof. You unfolded the parchment. The handwriting was jagged, furious, undeniably Thorne's. It detailed a plan, not for murder explicitly. The key, the note. It was a slam dunk. But as you reread the note, a subtle discord, like a flat note in a symphony, snagged your attention. The red Challenger. Finch hadn't driven a red Challenger in 2 years. He'd traded it in for a charcoal gray luxury sedan months before Thorne's dismissal. The detail was so specific, so unnecessary to invent, that it rang false. And the key. You remembered the crime scene photos of Finch's study door. The lock had been recently upgraded, the new system installed just 3 months ago. This replica key, while exquisite, was for the old lock mechanism. Your mind raced, piecing together the timeline. Thorne had been fired 6 months ago. The note, by its very content, implied knowledge of Finch's habits before that point. The outdated car model, the obsolete key, they were details Thorne, consumed by his hatred and living in isolation, might genuinely not have updated himself on. But if he was planning the murder now, he would have needed current information. This wasn't Thorne's confession. This was a setup, a carefully constructed distraction. Someone had planted this evidence, knowing you would find it, knowing it would send you down a dead-end alley. The jagged handwriting, the furious tone. It was an almost perfect mimicry of Thorne's known public persona, crafted to seem authentic. The red Challenger, the meeting at the docks, the safe in the study, all details designed to align with an older version of Finch's life. A version Thorne would have known, but which had since changed. The true killer had exploited Thorne's very public rage, his very public history, to create a ghost to chase. Your grip tightened on the parchment, the paper crinkling under the pressure. You had been played, expertly and deliberately. The mystery had just deepened, twisting into a more insidious labyrinth. The file on Alistair Finch lay open, his face, so often plastered across philanthropy brochures, now a stark, unyielding mask in the crime scene photographs. The alibi offered by his embittered rival, a jumble of solitude and cheap whiskey, felt like a flimsy veil, easily pierced but offering no solid ground beneath. This obvious path, you knew, was a cul-de-sac. The true killer, the true motive, lay deeper, buried beneath the polished facade of the city's elite. A gnawing instinct, honed by years of walking through the wreckage of human lives, pulled you away from the immediate, the superficial. Finch was a man of layers, a digital architect of influence and wealth. You needed to peel back the years, to find the raw blueprints of his ambition. You directed a junior investigator to unearth every scrap of information pertaining to Finch's company's nascent years, a time before its meteoric rise. Days bled into a relentless cycle of digital archives, corporate registries, and hushed interviews with long-retired associates. The screen glowed with forgotten memos, quarterly reports, and project proposals. Among the mundane entries for data management systems and early-stage app development, a peculiar anomaly surfaced. Project Chimera, a sustainable urban planning initiative from over a decade ago. It had been abruptly shelved, its public explanation vague, yet internal documents hinted at a core AI system surprisingly advanced for its era. A neural network designed for predictive analytics on a scale that seemed disproportionate to mere traffic flow or waste management. The project you noted was never truly decommissioned. Its core algorithms merely repurposed, its original, more ambitious purpose obscured. Simultaneously, you delved into Finch's personal history, a parallel excavation into the foundations of his character. Hours spent sifting through dusty public records and microfiche archives in the city's vast library yielded a brittle, yellowed news clipping. It spoke of a fatal incident during Finch's university days. A car crash, officially ruled an accident, but local whispers, long faded, suggested a passenger who vanished from the official report, and Finch, barely coherent, at the wheel. The deceased, a brilliant young student, a coding prodigy, was lauded in the obituary as a visionary mind tragically lost. The name of the vanished passenger, however, was never mentioned, a curious omission that prickled at the edges of your perception. The threads, disparate as they seemed, began to tug at something deeper. A thought struck you with the force of revelation. A man like Finch, with his meticulous nature and penchant for control, would have a sanctuary for his most guarded truths. A swift, targeted search warrant was secured for Finch's personal effects not yet cataloged by his estate. Among the expected valuables and mundane items, a single heavy brass key, distinct from all others, lay hidden beneath a false bottom in his desk drawer. Inside, amidst a scattering of investment bonds and obscure legal documents, you found not stacks of cash, but a single encrypted data chip and a faded, creased photograph. The photograph, its edges softened by time, showed the crash victim from the news clipping, his young face earnest and full of life, standing between a younger Finch and an older man whose features were blurred by the photograph's age, yet whose posture exuded an undeniable, almost predatory authority. In the background, a rudimentary interface, unmistakably an early prototype of Project Chimera, glowed with nascent code. The data chip, delivered to a forensic analyst, proved to be a treasure trove. When finally decrypted, it revealed fragmented schematics for Project Chimera, not as urban planning, but as a vast, invasive surveillance system. More chilling were the embedded logs, coded communications referencing the collective and asset management. One message, dated days before the fatal crash, explicitly mentioned neutralizing the Chimera threat, followed by a chillingly concise Finch secured. The collective. The name echoed, a whisper in the city's underbelly. A network of powerful individuals whispered to operate beyond the reach of law, controlling information, wielding influence like a weapon. The crash, then, was not an accident. It was a cleanup, a brutal excision. Project Chimera was never about sustainable cities. It was a tool for pervasive control. The brilliant student, the crash victim, was a casualty, perhaps attempting to expose its true sinister purpose. You held the data chip, the faded photograph, the weight of a dangerous truth settling upon your shoulders. The game had irrevocably changed. You were no longer chasing a simple killer, but an entity that reached into the very foundations of this city, its tendrils wrapped around power and wealth. The tension tightened around you, a slow, deliberate squeeze, promising a confrontation far more perilous than anything you had yet faced. The whisper of the collective, the phantom limb of power, twitches in the marrow of your bones. Project Chimer. The words, once abstract, now coalesce into a chilling truth. Finch was not just a victim. He was a key, and his death, a lock slammed shut. The city, once a familiar canvas of grit and ambition, now reveals itself as a meticulously crafted illusion. Its underbelly a labyrinth where shadows hold more sway than sunlight. Determination hardens your jaw, a silent vow etched in the taut lines around your eyes. A warrant, secured through a relentless dawn, guides your pursuit to a place of hushed opulence. The building above, a monument to old money and forgotten legacies, offers no hint of the secrets entombed beneath its foundations. Here, in this subterranean sanctum, light struggles to penetrate, swallowed by the sheer mass of reinforced concrete and polished brass. Inside, rows of safe deposit boxes gleam under the stark glare of utility lights, each a small, impenetrable casket of secrets. He leads you to a specific alcove, where a box, larger than the rest, waits. Its surface, a dull bronze, reflects your own grim reflection. The key turns with a soft, mechanical sigh, a sound almost reverent in its precision. Inside, not jewels or stacks of currency, but a meticulously organized collection of documents. You don a pair of gloves, your movements precise, almost surgical. The first few folders contain standard corporate records, financial statements, and legal agreements, the detritus of a tech magnate's empire. But deeper, nestled beneath layers of the mundane, you find it. And then, a small, leather-bound journal, its pages brittle with age. You open the journal, the paper crinkling softly. The script within is elegant, precise, Alistair Finch's unmistakable hand. It's not a diary of personal reflections, but a ledger of names, dates, and cryptic codes. Project Chimer. The phrase appears repeatedly, not as a project, but as a code name for individuals, a network. One entry, dated just weeks before Finch's death, stands out. The Collective's Gambit, Phase 3, Chimer activation imminent. Subject, RKRK, your initials. Finch wasn't just observing, he was documenting, perhaps even participating, in a design that involved you. You carefully extract the journal and the drives, placing them into evidence bags. As you ascend back into the city's grumbling afternoon, the sunlight feels harsh, almost accusatory. Your phone vibrates, a sharp jolt against your hip. An unknown number. You hesitate, then answer. A voice, smooth and cultured, yet devoid of warmth, speaks. It's distorted, almost synthesized, a cruel echo. Detective Kincaid. And some gardens, once disturbed, wither entirely. Think of your daughter, Reid. Her garden is quite lovely, isn't it? The world tilts. The bustling street, the honking cabs, the indifferent faces of passers-by, all dissolve into a blurry backdrop. Your daughter, her laughter, her bright eyes, the innocent joy she brings to your fractured life. A soft, almost imperceptible chuckle. Just a caretaker, Reid, ensuring the delicate ecosystem remains undisturbed. Your hand clenches around the phone, knuckles white. The journal's entry. Subject, RK Oversight, the Overseer, flashes through your mind, now infused with a terrifying new meaning. This isn't just about corporate espionage or political corruption anymore. This is personal. They know about your daughter. They are watching. The stakes, once measured in justice, now weigh the very safety of your blood. The determined resolve in your eyes morphs into a dangerous burning fire. You will find them. You will find the Overseer. And you will make them regret ever stepping into your garden. The silence left by the deadline is a physical weight, pressing against your eardrums. Your hand, still gripping the receiver, trembles with a barely contained tremor, knuckles stark white against the cool plastic. The words from Finch's journal. Subject, RK Oversight. The Overseer. Echo in the void, no longer a cryptic puzzle, but a terrifying whisper of implication. This isn't merely about a dead CEO and stolen secrets. It's a spiderweb stretching wider than you ever imagined, its threads now tangling around you. It had seemed like an absurd flourish at the time, but now, coupled with the recent revelations, it screams a different story. A location. A final sanctuary for truth. The journey takes you to the heart of the city's old financial district, a labyrinth of granite and steel. You present your warrant, a crisp official document that cuts through the layers of bureaucracy like a scalpel. The building itself is a monument to bygone wealth, its facade adorned with stoic gargoyles watching over the bustling street. Inside, hushed reverence replaces the city's din. A stern-faced vault manager, his movements precise and economical, leads you through hushed corridors, past polished mahogany and brass. You descend. The air grows cooler, heavier, carrying the faint metallic scent of old money and locked secrets. The clatter of your own footsteps on the marble floor seems an intrusion in this sepulchral quiet. Each step takes you deeper into the earth, deeper into the truth. The atmosphere thickens with unspoken history, the weight of centuries of stored fortunes pressing down. Ahead, a colossal circular door looms, an anachronism of engineering, its polished steel gleaming under the sparse overhead lights. It is a portal to another era, a testament to impregnable security. The mechanism groans, a sound like a waking titan as the massive door swings inward, revealing a cavernous space. Your gaze sweeps over them, a sense of urgency prickling your skin. The coordinates from the journal lead to a specific box nestled low, almost overlooked. The vault manager retrieves the designated box, its brass gleaming dully. He places it on a small felt-lined table. A key, provided by the warrant, turns with a definitive click. You lift the lid. Inside, initially, there is nothing immediately dramatic. A handful of bearer bonds, dated years ago, their value now likely negligible. A small, tarnished silver locket, a bundle of yellowed letters tied with faded ribbon. Mundane remnants of a life, designed to appear innocuous. But your eyes, honed by years of sifting through deception, catch something else. A slight, almost imperceptible bulge beneath the felt lining of the box. Your fingers trace the edge, finding a hidden catch. With a soft click, the false bottom springs open. It's not an ordinary chip. Its design hints at military-grade encryption, a fortress of digital security. This is not a casual storage device. This is a vault within a vault. The weight of it feels enormous in your palm, disproportionate to its size. This is it. This is the truth Finch died for. Back in the sterile light of your office, the chip connected to a secure terminal, the analyst works with a quiet intensity. Hours bleed into one another. The rhythmic tap of keys, the whir of cooling fans, the only sounds breaking the tension. You watch, unblinking, as lines of code scroll across the screen, a language of secrets slowly yielding its meaning. The primary folder, glowing with an ominous red icon, is labeled Project RK Oversight. Your breath hitches. The name from Finch's journal. Within the folder, the subdirectories reveal a sprawling, intricate web. Data logs, financial transactions, intercepted communications, photographic evidence. They detail an extensive network of influence, manipulation, and control. It's all there. Shell corporations funneling illicit funds, politicians receiving donations in exchange for legislative favors, media outlets subtly steered to shape public opinion. Finch wasn't just observing. He was meticulously documenting their every move, building a case of unprecedented scale. He had been gathering leverage, a desperate attempt to expose them, or perhaps to control them himself. The RK in RK Oversight wasn't just a code name for a general project. It was a specific, deliberate reference to you, Reid Kincaid. Finch had been monitoring you, compiling data on your past cases, your personal life, your vulnerabilities. Was it a threat? A desperate plea for help? Or was he being forced to monitor you by the overseer, and this was his way of leaving a breadcrumb trail, a coded message for you to find? The pieces click into place with a sickening thud. Finch knew. He knew about the overseer. He knew about their reach. And he knew you were the only one who could truly stand against them. His RK Oversight project was his final desperate gambit. to expose the overseer, using you, Reid, as the key, or perhaps even as the ultimate target to be leveraged. The conspiracy's scope unfurls before your eyes like a poisoned map. The murder of Alistair Finch wasn't a robbery gone wrong. It was a desperate act of silencing, an attempt to bury the truth he had so carefully unearthed. He was killed because he had this chip, because he had this information, because he was ready to expose the overseer. And now you possess that same dangerous truth. The tension in the room is palpable, a live current humming in the air. The game has changed. You are no longer just an investigator. You are now inextricably linked to Finch's final deadly secret. And the overseer knows it. The words RK Oversight still shimmer on the screen, a digital brand seared into your consciousness. Finch wasn't just observing a hidden power. He was observing you. The intricate web of corporate espionage and political corruption now cinches around your own neck, a noose woven with threads of your past cases, your personal shadows. This isn't merely an investigation anymore. It is a mirror reflecting a threat aimed squarely at your reflection. The Fixer. It had to be the Fixer, the architect of the city's invisible strings, the one Finch had meticulously labeled the Overseer. A shiver, not of fear but of pure distilled rage, traces your spine. They knew. They must have known Finch was collecting this damning data. And now, they know you know. This isn't just a pursuit. It's a desperate dance on the edge of a blade. A high-stakes game where the rules are written in blood and betrayal. You are no longer merely a hunter. You are also the hunted. You slam the vault door shut, the metallic clang echoing your urgency through the hallowed space. A frantic call to a colleague, your voice tight with a newfound dangerous edge. Get a perimeter on the old industrial district, the abandoned chemical plant. Now, I'm en route. You don't wait for a response. Already sprinting up the ornate marble stairs, the historic building's grandeur a stark, mocking contrast to the grime of your purpose. Each step is a hammer blow against the polished stone, propelling you from the gilded cage of revelation into the chaotic freedom of the streets. The city swallows you whole. Your vehicle, a familiar extension of your will, carves through the late afternoon traffic, a predator scenting its prey. The world outside blurs into streaks of color and sound. A symphony of horns, the distant wail of sirens, the murmur of 1,000 lives oblivious to the silent war you wage. Every street sign, every turn, a fragment of a puzzle pieced together with grim precision. Finch's cryptic notes, the timestamps, the subtle patterns in the data stream, they coalesce into a trajectory, a ghost trail leading to the Fixer's likely bolt hole. Your grip on the steering wheel tightens, knuckles white, as the conviction hardens within you. The Fixer is the Overseer, and the abandoned chemical plant is their lair. A jolt courses through you, a blend of adrenaline and vindication. You push the accelerator, the engine roaring in protest, a guttural cry of pursuit. The sedan weaves through the crumbling infrastructure, a master of its labyrinth. A sudden, audacious swerve, and it disappears into a narrow alleyway, too tight for your vehicle to follow. You abandon your car, the door slamming shut with a finality that rings in the desolate air. On foot now, you plunge into the alley, the scent of damp concrete and forgotten industry filling your nostrils. You emerge into a small, abandoned yard, littered with skeletal machinery and the husks of forgotten dreams. The sedan is gone. But on a broken pallet, glinting faintly in the fading light, lies a single polished silver cufflink. Intricate, almost regal. It's the Fixer's signature, a mark you've seen in photographs, subtly peeking from beneath a tailored sleeve. A taunt. A clear sign they know you're here, and they're playing a game daring you to follow. The blood thrums in your ears, not from exertion, but from the raw challenge of it. They wanted you to find it, They want you to follow. This isn't just a hunt. It's a lure, a calculated gamble to draw you deeper into their web. You pocket the cufflink, its cold metal a promise of retribution. The abandoned chemical plant looms in the distance, a skeletal silhouette against the bruised sky, its broken windows like vacant eyes watching your every move. The game has begun, and the overseer awaits. You feel the weight of their gaze, a phantom pressure on your back as you step into the deepening twilight. The words, RK. Finch wasn't just observing a hidden network. He was operating a ghost, a specter of surveillance whose initials, you now realize with a gut-wrenching lurch, mirror your own. Reid Kincaid. Your name, twisted into an instrument of control. A metallic click echoes from the vault's entrance, a sound too deliberate to be accidental, too sharp to be benign. You pivot, your hand instinctively dropping to the holstered weight at your hip. The vault door, a behemoth of reinforced steel and intricate tumblers, now stands ajar. A silhouette fills the gap, broad-shouldered and unhurried. The figure steps into the pale glow of the server racks, revealing the hard lines of a face you've seen before, though never in such a stark, predatory light. It is the former associate, Finch's right hand, whose public face was always one of unwavering loyalty, a man whose ambition you'd underestimated. Took you long enough, Reid. The former associate's voice rumbles, devoid of its usual corporate sheen, now raw and edged with something akin to triumph. Always the last to see the obvious, aren't you? A glacial dread seeps into your marrow, colder than the vault's conditioned air. You breathe, the realization a bitter taste. You killed Finch. I merely cut the puppet strings, the former associate corrects, a thin smile stretching across his lips. Finch was a master manipulator. He grew sloppy. He believed his RK oversight was impenetrable. A magnificent piece of architecture, by the way. So efficient, so utterly devastating. You built it, didn't you, Reid? Back in your clandestine days, before the badge. A tool for national security, you called it. Finch saw its true potential. The words strike you like physical blows. Your past, a phantom you thought long buried, now resurrected, weaponized. It was decommissioned, you state, your voice tight, a tremor you fight to suppress. For good reason. Decommissioned, acquired, repurposed. The former associate shrugs, a casual gesture that belies the gravity of his confession. Finch bought the blueprints, the code, the very soul of your design. He perfected it, used it to monitor everyone, every competitor, every politician, every associate, myself included. He had files on everything, every minor transgression, every private moment. He owned us all. His gaze hardens, flicking towards the glowing RK oversight on the screen. He was going to expose me. Everything I'd built, everything I'd planned, undone by a single keystroke. So I took his keys instead. And the others? You press, your mind racing, piecing together the fragmented clues, the coded messages, the strange anomalies in Finch's financial records, the subtle shifts in power dynamics you'd observed, the network of shell companies, the compromised officials. This wasn't just about Finch's control, was it? And I was the most qualified. He gestures with the weapon towards the screen. Finch's death was a clean slate. I inherited his empire, not just his chair. The only one who could connect your past creation to my future. A silent war rages within you. Your creation, designed to protect, used to destroy. Finch's manipulation, yes, but the seed of it, the very mechanism, bore your mark. This was the personal cost, heavy and undeniable. You won't get away with it, you say, the words a low growl, your determination hardening into tempered steel. Oh, a lone opportunist, perhaps, quickly apprehended. You're just a detective, Reid, a relic of a bygone era. The air crackles with unspoken violence. You move, not with the frantic desperation of a cornered animal, but with the calculated precision of a predator. The vault, once a symbol of hidden wealth, transforms into a steel-lined arena. A spark flies as the bullet ricochets off a server rack. He fires again, tracking your movement. You return fire, aiming for center mass, but he's quicker than you anticipated, ducking behind a row of data cabinets, their blinking lights momentarily obscured. The metallic tang of ozone fills the air, mingling with the faint scent of old paper and dust. The hum of the servers, the distant thrum of the building above. And then, a faint scrape. He's moving, circling. The space is a labyrinth of steel shelves, security cameras, now likely disabled, and forgotten boxes. I know every inch of Finch's empire, including this little den of secrets. "You know his secrets," you shout back, your voice resonating with a sudden, fierce clarity. But you don't know mine. You remember the subtle imperfections of the vault, the faint structural weaknesses you'd noted on your initial walkthrough, the redundant power conduits, the ventilation shafts. Years of training, of observing, of anticipating, now converge. You drop to one knee, aiming low, not for him, but for a specific point where two heavy steel support beams meet. Your shot rings out, not a direct hit, but a strategic one. A shower of sparks erupts as your bullet strikes the steel junction, severing a hidden conduit. He emerges, moving with renewed aggression, his weapon tracking. He fires, a rapid burst. You feel a searing pain in your shoulder, a white-hot agony that makes your arm go numb. The impact slams you back against the wall, but you bite back a cry. The personal cost. It wasn't just the guilt, the realization of your past weaponized. It was the blood, the physical toll, the reminder that justice often demanded a price. He advances, sensing victory, his face grimly triumphant in the dim light. Your oversight, Reid, always your weakness, sentiment. He raises his weapon for the final shot. But you, Reid Kincaid, are not yet broken. Through the haze of pain, your eyes lock onto a detail. A loose panel on a server rack near him, one you'd noticed earlier, a subtle imperfection. It was old, rusted, barely holding. With a surge of adrenaline, you push off the wall, ignoring the screaming pain in your shoulder. You don't aim your weapon. Instead, you lunge, not at him, but at the server rack beside him. You grab the loose panel, yanking it with all your might. It tears free with a screech of tortured metal, exposing a tangle of live wires. The former associate falters, momentarily distracted by your sudden, unexpected move. In that split second, you swing the heavy, jagged panel like a crude shield, blocking his next shot, the impact jarring your already wounded arm, but deflecting the bullet. Before he can recover, you bring the edge of the panel down, not with brute force, but with a precise, trained strike to his gun hand. A sickening crunch echoes in the vault. He cries out, a raw animal sound, clutching his shattered hand. You don't hesitate. With a surge of adrenaline, you surged forward, a primal roar tearing from your throat, not of anger, but of sheer, desperate will. The rusted panel, a brittle shield, buckled under your desperate impact, showering sparks and dust as the server rack groaned, a dying beast. Its ancient frame, already compromised, twisted and collapsed with a deafening shriek of tortured metal, sending a cascade of sparking wires and heavy circuit boards raining down. This was your moment. You moved with a ferocity born of desperation and pain, a blur of motion despite your injuries. Your hand, a conduit of raw instinct, found the orchestrator's wrist, twisting with brutal efficiency. A sharp crack echoed in the confined space, a sound that resonated deep in your own aching bones. The orchestrator cried out, a guttural sound of agony and disbelief, their grip on the fallen weapon useless. You didn't release them. You drove them back against the cold steel door of a safe deposit box, pinning them there, your breath ragged, tasting of copper and dust. The silence that followed was a physical entity, heavy with the metallic scent of your own blood, the lingering ozone from severed wires. You held them, your gaze unwavering, until the distant wail of sirens grew into a crescendo, announcing the inevitable arrival. Footsteps thundered down the narrow stairwell, heavy and urgent. The first uniformed officer through the breach found you kneeling, one hand pressed to a throbbing wound on your side, the other still clutching the orchestrator's mangled wrist. Your face was a canvas of grime and fatigue, but your eyes held a fierce, unyielding light. "It's done," you rasped, the words thick with exhaustion. The vault filled with the organized chaos of officialdom. Crime scene specialists, their gloved hands meticulous, began their grim ballet. Then, your gaze fell upon the heart of the matter, the very purpose of this hidden lair. Behind a cleverly disguised section of the wall, revealed by the orchestrator's own desperate actions, lay not stacks of gold or precious gems, but a series of high-capacity data drives and a single leather-bound ledger. Eyes wide as they took in the scene. What did we find here? You pushed yourself to your feet, every muscle screaming in protest. The truth. You stated, your voice gaining strength with each word. Alistair Finch wasn't just murdered for his secrets. He was a secret. A linchpin in a network of corporate espionage and political corruption so deep, it reaches into every corner of this city's elite. The digital necropolis held within those drives began to yield its grim harvest. Encrypted files, expertly unraveled by the forensic team, laid bare a vast conspiracy. Finch, the philanthropic tech CEO, was a master blackmailer, leveraging sensitive data on powerful figures to manipulate markets and secure lucrative, often illegal contracts. His cutthroat business practices were merely the public face of an elaborate scheme to control the city's infrastructure through undue influence and coercion. Finch's murder was a calculated act of usurpation, a violent coup intended to inherit the empire of secrets he had built. The light of the vault, once so menacing, now seemed merely stark, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the disturbed air. This victory, hard won, felt less like triumph and more like the turning of a heavy, rusted gear. One part of the machine had been stopped, but the machine itself, the pervasive system of power and corruption, remained. Days blurred into weeks. The public outcry was deafening. Then slowly, predictably, it softened into a dull hum. Arrests were made, indictments handed down, names whispered in hushed tones across the city's highest echelons. But the deepest roots, you knew, would remain untouched, burrowing further into the bedrock of power. The city exhaled, unaware of the cancerous growth excised from its depths, or perhaps willfully ignorant. You stood by the river, the gray light of dawn painting the water in muted tones. The physical wounds were healing, leaving faint, silvery scars. But the deeper marks, etched into your spirit, were more resistant to time. Alistair Finch, the victim, was as much a villain as his killer. The lines blurred, faded, until only shades of gray remained. You had brought a kind of justice, a reckoning, but the cost felt immense. You were a part of it, irrevocably tied to its grime and its glory. The badge felt heavier now, imbued with the weight of all you had witnessed. The river flowed on, indifferent to the secrets it held, just like the city above it. And you, a solitary figure against the encroaching light, remained.